Hello everyone and welcome for the second day of our Jazz Focus on the Nordic Countries. For those of you who have just joined us, it's taking place as part of a series of online events called From Home Export Days, organized by the CNM, the Centre National de la Musique. If you're curious about yesterday's market presentation, you can check out the replay in our website or YouTube channel. And so today's panel is called Shaping New Models for International Jazz Collaboration, and it is moderated by Minnakaisa Kuivalainen, the Executive Director of the Tampere Music Festival. So thank you very much for joining us. And now I'm delighted to give the floor to Minnakaisa, who is going to introduce the speakers and the session.
Thank you, Lisa. Merci. And welcome all to our panel discussion. I have a pleasure to present to you our panelists. We have here Jarby, founder of agency Vapaat, Äänet, and artistic director of Raahe Jazz on the Page Festival in Finland. We have Jarby, founder and director of Kaja Management in Copenhagen, Denmark, and Øyvind Larsen, director of Oslo Jazz Festival in Norway, and Ragnar Berthling, managing director of Musikcentrum Öst in Stockholm, Sweden. So, Jarby, can you tell us why did you found Vapaat, Äänet?
Unmute. I found Vapaat, Äänet in 1996, just because I was setting up in Finland, and I visited Finland in 92, 93, 94 with French bands, and noticed that it would be nice to do real tours. So I started to put on touring activities, and it has started since on, and some 2,000 gigs and a lot of different experiences in these territories, Finland and the Baltic countries, and also the Nordic countries. So touring is the need of touring for the musicians.
Very good. And Kat, what is the purpose of Kaja Management?
So Kaja Management is a management company working with the experimental music, mostly Danish artists. I represent a string of Danish artists and bands, and then I do project management. I do concept development, mostly holistic cross-aesthetic works that involves different genres and artistic formats. And then I do some coaching and consulting. So it's mostly about supporting the artistic processes and developing creative businesses.
Very good. Thank you. And Øyvind, what are the goals of Oslo Jazz Festival?
The goals of Oslo Jazz Festival. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. It's basically we're a jazz festival, and we are in the capital. We are an international jazz festival that presenting what we, in our minds, think jazz is, both in a historic perspective and also what the genre or way of playing that's called jazz will be in the future. So we are both a modern, mainstream and traditional festival, producing about this year we are bigger than last year. I hope so. Usually about 50 or 60 concerts during a week in August, and we're basically a club festival on the different jazz clubs in Oslo and some of the bigger venues such as the concert house and the opera and etc. if we have bigger artists. So the goal is to present music and also to create collaborations of different kinds, of making projects such as FoodPrints, our Nordic Showcase program. We have Education Jazz Composers International program called the Jazz Workshop at the moment, with jazz educations from Bologna, Nuremberg, Hamburg, Oslo, and Edinburgh. Yes, and also the FoodPrints project that I guess I will be talking a little bit more about later on. So.
Thank you. And Ragnar, what is Musikcentrum Öst?
Hi everybody. it's a kind of non-profit network supported by Arts Council, and we work a bit like an agency, but more like a relation-building agency. So we are mainly in jazz, folk, traditional world, contemporary classical music, etc. And so we've done showcases in collaboration with Swedish Jazz, for example. So that is one thing. We try to create job opportunities for our members as much as we can. The other thing is to support the artists more generally with education, mentoring, making them visible. We do a lot of newsletter work and webpage, social media, etc. in Sweden. Then we also, since we have this sort of official role, it's a lot about policy making as well. So we're sort of advising a lot on both regional and national and actually international level as well. And then we do a lot of projects, collaboration projects. We don't do anything ourselves. So we've done a project with Vortex called Jazz Alloy and other things that we might touch later on. So we just have to explain that we are Musikcentrum Öst, that means East. There are 3 offices, so it's South and West as well, and we are working together, but we are in charge of the international work of all the Musikcentrum. And then we are also we have a separate economy and separate staff, but we also one of the co-founders of Key Change, the global network for gender equality. So we might talk a little bit about that later, but that's what we do.
Yes, thank you. Øyvind, you mentioned already some of your projects, so please could you tell us more precisely what have you done, for example, with FoodPrints and others?
Well, I can take a few years back, step back until before this FoodPrints was created, because before I was the management and artistic director for Oslo Jazz Festival, I was working for Jazzforum, the Jazz Federation office. And as I guess maybe you talked about yesterday a little bit about the Nordic Jazz Comets, I was in touch with HSC in France, and we found a way to make a collaboration between the Jazz Migration project and the Jazz Comets. So we presented this in Paris. It's 2019, was it? No, it's even 18. It's such a long time ago since we were traveling, isn't it? And from this, Pierre Degelais, who's running a venue in Lyon, got in touch because it was him and Karolina from Poland who started this project. That was a continuation of something else called the Jazz Connected. And this FoodPrints project is it's about sustainability of for new professionals in the European regions. So we are different partners from Norway, from Slovenia, from Austria, from Poland, and from France and from Netherlands. And this is a 4-year program that started last year. And we are selecting young agents, inspiring agents, and young musicians to work together to set up tours in these partner countries that are part of it. And by the end of the project, we will have had 12 artists and 12 agents working and setting up tours in these kinds of in these different territories where the partners are located. So it's really about international circulation and how to make international circulations in Europe in a better way. I would say investment for the future, I'd say.
Can I ask already how it's possible to enter the FoodPrint? We have many managers and musicians involved here now.
Yes, it's you apply and we had the selection of the agents already, so we picked up one agent from each country, and there's a new deadline coming up for the musicians who can apply for this. I can post the website in the comments afterwards, so you'll see more details into the projects. And the first part is will be located in Lyon. It will be a workshop for the agents that has been chosen now, the 6th first. And the other part will be this summer in Lutz. where the musicians that will be chosen will be part of this international jazz platform that is happening in Lodz in the summer. So this is the starting of the project, and we'll be doing the same version of the project for next year before we execute the tours. Very good.
So, Kat, can you tell us what kind of international projects you have done? You have done many, but which you'd like to present for us now?
Yeah, so as I said, I work mainly with experimental music. So I quickly found out that small Denmark was too small for only touring and doing projects here. So I've done quite a lot of international projects. I've done one with Brazil, where I worked with the Danish Cultural Institute in Brazil to present some Danish music over there, which was interesting. And then recently I've tried the new live stream approach with one of my projects called Hesse Small, Apollonian Circles. Hesse Small is a transatlantic band which has members in Copenhagen and New York. So normally there's a lot of traveling forth and back. And of course we can't do that right now. So we wanted to stay in contact with our New York members. So we did a live stream that was actually live streamed both from Copenhagen and New York at the same time, where the audience at home could see two small screens from Copenhagen and New York at the same time, and then the band played together across the sea. That was quite interesting to try. So I like to push the boundaries and do new stuff. I don't want to do just a simple live stream. I want to do an ambitious live stream. So we tried to do that, and it worked well. There was a lot of weird glitches and problems, but it was fun, and it worked in the end.
Very good, thank you. And Ragnar, you mentioned that you have done many projects with the Musikcentrum Öst. Which would you like to present here now?
I want to mention them briefly, because the general thing, I think, is to build sustainable relations between artists and venues. And we, the first sort of real project in that kind, which also touches the slow touring, was a project called Here, where we brought some of the finest improv musicians that we toured and stayed in each city and made 3, 4, 5 gigs on different venues and played with local musicians. So we played in London, Tokyo, New York, Washington, and we did a few things in Sweden. We also added a filmmaker to the project that was creating new Super 8 film. We made it very tricky. But that sort of gave birth to new ideas. So a project that we will continue this project, and I hope to bring it with other countries, was a project with the Vortex, where we brought 2 Swedish musicians, curated them softly with UK musicians, and brought them over to London for a couple of days, where they made new music, made a concert, and it was filmed, and it was very much promoted towards the London jazz community, and it was a really, really nice project. We did 6 events in that series, and now we are trying to bring some of it back to Stockholm, but that is sort of a quite it's a very relaxed way of connecting musicians in a not very super I mean, it's not like a week or something, but maybe 2-3 days, and they create new music, and some of them, what we hope is to create new constellations. So that is one of the projects. And then, of course, I have to mention Key Change, which is a totally different project. So maybe we will touch on that later, because it's a multi-genre, 12-country project working to change and I know that similar things are happening in the jazz world, like European jazz, European, what is it called? European Jazz Network.
Yes, right. EJN, our home
yeah, exactly. Yes. So we've been very closely in touch with them and discussing how we can sort of expand it to jazz.
Very good. Thank you. And Charles, you have done international cooperation since today 0, since today first day of your company. So what would you like to mention and tell us about?
Yes, I mean, the acts between France and Finland. So just shaping a network all the time and thinking about really creating bridges. So I remember in 1996 I thought about this circulation, and it keeps going because it's now we are in export events, so you have to know that if you want to export, you have to import also. In a way, you have to. This is exchange. It's the base of. This is a really human law. So I've been really working on that topic for 25 years, and then after some 20 years, I noticed I came to speak about slow touring. So this is my way of doing international collaboration, making really working locally. So developing home concerts, developing school concerts, 3 days. It's also quality of life on the road. So because I'm tour manager also, so I book. If I book three weeks, I need to go to swim in a lake on one morning or whatever, read a book, and so this is my way of doing international cooperation. I've been touring with, for instance, I see Øyvind, you remember I toured with Atomic in 2003 and 4, so starting the French Nordic Jazz Transit. So I've been doing a lot of really work on the field with musicians, working alongside musicians. So this is my passion, and I'm so happy to be able to keep on doing it. Even now in the pandemic time, I was in Estonia last month in February. We had 5 concerts in Estonia in February with audience. So
yes, in Estonia it was possible then, not now.
Yes, not now, but
times are changing.
It was completely it was expansion of the virus, but we just also proved that when you are very careful, you can do, if you do things properly, nobody got infected. So everything went well, even if it was a very dramatic rise of the virus in this time. So I'm trying to do a tour in Finland in April now.
Okay.
I see if it works.
So you are presenting here different kind of organizations. We have 2 private companies and a public organization from Sweden and a festival from Norway. And I'm interested to hear more. Where have you received funding for your international co-projects? Øyvind, if you start.
Well, it's the FoodPrints project is a Creative Europe money that is built on, and the jazz workshop is also European money. Actually, it's something called Erasmus Plus. For those who knows about this is the Music Academy in Oslo who has been doing the applications, and the FoodPrints has been done by Periscope in Lyon. So I've not been part of the funding part of the applications really, but this is where the project is coming from. And for the festival in general, we are supported by the Arts Council and the city, and of course with projects we do in others, we have support from Music Norway, the export office.
And how about in Denmark, Kat, where you have received money, and do you have international funding as well?
We can receive money from the Arts Council, and then we get quite a lot of support from Jazz Denmark, the Danish jazz organization. But when you're such a small player as I am, then it's really difficult to get into the European funds. So far I haven't been able to do that, but we have quite a lot of good funding in Denmark, so I've been lucky to get a lot of that.
Very good. And Ragnar, how about you with Musikcentrum Öst?
I mean, it's a variety of funding. What I'm a bit jealous when I hear you both mentioned Export Music Norway and Just Denmark, because we in Sweden we can't really get that kind of support from Export Music Sweden because they are so small. But apart from that, it's very much the same. We've had support. We did another project which was sort of a contemporary music project where we had the support from EU, but that we were partner in the project, so we didn't apply ourselves. But it's exactly as you say, it's hard for a minor part. But so it's a mixture of. In Sweden, we have the thing you generally apply from Arts Council is actually a special body for music and called Musikverket. So that is more for the project, and then we have basic support from Arts Council. Then we have actually a few times we worked with the Swedish Collecting Society called STIM. So they have supported parts of projects. So we have never got support from one source. We've tried to get from everything and from different sources. And then in the Key Change project, there are both money from the collecting societies, but also from private sponsoring. So that is a tough project because we need to have the contribution, quite large contribution, and we're still underfinanced on that, but we are working on it. It's a long project, so we will hopefully make it in the end.
Thank you.
I can add a little bit for the Nordic Showcase. We also have funding from a foundation called Bergelsen Stiftelsen. It's a private foundation, really, and there's a Norwegian funding schemes called Talent Norge. That is a talent program organization, and it works like if we have private funding from a private foundation such as Bergelsen Stiftelsen. We can apply this for. Then this is for projects for young talents. So we can apply to have the equal funding from this organization of what we get private. So we can kind of double the income of the project. So it's a nice little scheme we have for everyone who's doing new projects and talent projects in Norway. So
I just have to mention that since we're in a Nordic context, of course, Nordisk Kulturfond and Kulturkontakt Nord, and when you're doing projects in the region, that is also
absolutely the same. Yeah, I have the same experience.
And there's also a body called Swedish Institute that is possible for Nordic and Baltic collaborations. We've been on the side of a project with Estonia and Poland where there was Swedish money from there. So this is something there is money to apply for, I think, in our region.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just asking Ragnar. Do you have the same problem with the Nordic funding that you're not allowed to apply more than once? You have to remake the project for every time you apply.
Yeah, and that is also the big problem with Musikverket. We've managed to tweak things a little bit. And then I just have to say that we are extremely happy with Export Music Sweden because they often go in and pay for parts of projects, and they are extremely good collaborators. So it's not, but they are so much smaller, so they don't have any funding to give out.
Thank you. And Charles, you have been working long time with French and Nordic projects, so you know very well the funding system in France.
Yes, of course, I know.
And have you been able to use both French and Nordic money?
Yes, if we keep from the start, before I start the first tour, I managed to get into an official agreement between the Finnish and the French state. So this was the starting of this French and Finnish tours in 1996. And then from this point of view, even Finnish funding was supporting French acts in Finland. So I started quite on official level, and on the side also I started to with the local companies with the groups from France to of course to apply to the author's right, SACEM, and performers' rights, Spedidam, Adami, and etc. And then some of the French companies applied to the Bureau Export, for instance, at that time, and it was each tour is like a small festival, so it's you have to get to finance the tour as a festival. It's a moving festival for me, and every gig is important. And for me, the most important in the funding is to if I ask to Adami, for instance, 5,000 euros, they know what is the meaning of this money. The meaning of this money is to pay, is to give this to performance. So I reduce the cost of flying, of expensive hotels or whatever, and then this money goes to performance. It's important. For me, it's the essential. Even if we have a local promoter giving a small amount of money, still the performing artist will get a decent fee. So this is the meaning of this funding for me.
And then I want to speak more precisely about the values which are involved many times with the projects. And ecological issues and sustainability are the questions which need to be answered also in the music field today. And Øyvind, you mentioned how the sustainability had been done with FoodPrints project.
Well, we just barely started, so but it's still, yeah, it's our aim to work on sustainability and across Europe, and this is one of the main reasons why we are doing this project, is to to help the future of this well, call it the industry, but if I don't like the word too much, because we really need to invest in the future so we can develop the music, because jazz is a music for the future and not for the past, I believe. I guess all of our activity has this key of sustainability. It's all about how you invest in the future, really. How we can, because we see, I guess now more than ever, when we have time to think and travel less, that's to help jazz travel within the EU countries and European countries is very crucial, because there's so much to be gained from learning from each other's markets. I know for many people, France is a super hard market to kind of understand and to get into for other European musicians and partners to understand the culture, and there's a language barrier and etc. But to keep on doing projects like the FoodPrints project, that we just force really having Slovenian agents working with a musician from Poland, and having a Norwegian musician working with a French agent, and etc. This is the way we help to build new networks that is not just established on the established ones, such as the Europe Jazz Network that we mentioned earlier, which has over 100 members, and it's about every big festivals in Europe is part of this big project. But we also have to make it possible to have new networks to be established, and this is why we believe in this kind of sustainability.
Good. And Charles, you mentioned earlier your slow touring and local networking as the principles with your work today, and how would you describe them more precisely, also with ecological point of view?
So through the years, I came to understand that being myself a tour manager, that it's no point to do. I want to do this gig for instance, in Umeå, but the day before I'm in Joensuu, so it's in Karelia. It's no. You decide. Okay, I will stay. I will not go to Umeå this year. Maybe I will do it another time. But now I will go. I will go to Karelia. There is a small place nearby, and I will go there. And then when I started to understand this, it changed the whole concept. That it's much fun. The music, for the music, it's much better. Then you have less. You are not so tired. So it's quality of life and sustainable model. It's just when you are doing it yourself alongside with the musicians, you understand all this, and you came with all these new models, which is it's quality of life. I would call it in simple words.
And Ragnar, you mentioned earlier on that you have also done the project involved with ecological questions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we are really thinking a lot about values, and I think we are valuing how we work, because we have always tried to solve the musicians the issue with actually funding your own personal life with more gigs. So we've been so focused on the distribution of culture, but what we have learned in Sweden now is that we have made surveys from all over Sweden, and the artist perspective is so important, because I'm very frightened that we won't get the artists back, because now they're not working, and many of them has taken other paths in their lives. And so I want to start there and say that I love the way you put it, Jill, that every performance is important and every artist is important. If we start there, we can build something more sustainable, and we have to sort of take better care of the artists we have and the future of new artists. So it's really, for me, it's I don't know if that is an answer of the question, but what I hope to see is that we will have more care for every public performance, and then that we might find new ways of higher accessibility for artists, for the audience that can't go to the show. So I want to see a more hybrid way of thinking, so we can both sort of increase the market, but also create a better sustainability for both presenters, venues, and artists, and more collaboration, actually working together to make this happen. And I think that the organizations and festivals might be very crucial in this work. That was a very sort of wide way of answering the question, but for me, that value is so important today. And then it adds on to how should we tour sustainable when it comes to the ecological footprint. And that is, I think we can be a lot smarter. And Jill, you of course pointed out, it's about quality, it's I think you have so many methods that we want to learn more about.
And yes, today what is a lot of discussion going on about equality, inclusion, and diversity, and also in music field. So, Kat, what do you think? How inclusion and diversity are possible to implement in artistic projects?
I think it actually it fits well with what Ragnar just said. That I think we need to think more holistically when we do projects. So we need to think about sustainability, but also equality and diversity all around. It's important that all aspects are included in projects. I think it's really important not to see it as a different or like a specific thing that we need to add equality or sustainability, but it just needs to be a part of the DNA of the project. So I hope that we come to a point where we don't have to talk about it, and we don't have to say that we think about equality or diversity, but it's just a part of it. I think we try with the projects I do, we try to think it all around, because we want all perspectives to be presented in our projects. And the more perspectives you have on a project, the more audience you can actually attract, because then there's a lot more identification from the audience. So yeah, as I said, I think it's important to just have it as a DNA of the project instead of an add-on, in a way, if that makes sense.
And Ragnar, you told us about key change. So could you please tell a little bit more? What it has been done with key change?
Yeah, key change has actually happened in one full edition. That was the first one, and we started the new edition, which was bigger. And it's to explain it shortly, it's 3 levels. It's about artists development, career development for artists and business professionals. And we talk about, we're not talking about men, female, we talk about minor genders, gender minorities. So it's all genders that are not men, actually. So we promote artists via showcases and networks, and we promote business professionals via networks and education, and they are supposed to go to a number of meetings. Now everything has happened until now online, so we hope to start in the second part is the pledge, which means that festivals and music organization can pledge to work in a balanced way, and that has been actually a success. I think it's now the number of exactly today is 475 major or international festivals, venues, music organizations, labels, unions. I mean, all kinds that has signed up for that. And the third part is more like a political movement. And we have presented one manifesto with concrete actions to create a more equal music industry. And yes, Key Change is a project focused on gender, but it is also a project focused on more equality in more broader way. So issues of diversity is really, we have to care for that as well. But it is the core of the project. It's about gender equality, and for me, it's gender equality is quality. I mean, it's really we have to take down the barrier for anyone that has a talent to be in the music industry. And so that was short about Key Change. It's 12 countries. It's around from 2019 this edition to 2024.
So it's in 12 countries already, and Key Change is not finished already. It's going on.
The partners are in 12 countries. Then the pledgers are in globally.
Yes, very good. So we are thinking already about after Corona pandemic time, and thinking now how this pandemic time has changed your project. If Øyvind, you could start, for example.
For the festival, first, of course, it changes absolutely everything. The projects, they are postponed. Many things and many projects are changing their way of being, I guess. Last year we were, for the festival, speaking for the festival first, last year we were able to do a super downscale festival. I guess every figure from our budget had one digit less than usual, kind of less than half of the turnover actually, but we were able to do a small addition. And then Ragnar mentioned the hybrid versions that really just in Norway they popped up very, very fast. Just I guess 3 or 4 weeks after the close down, something called Brakkesyke started, where people were really streaming concerts from their homes, and this became a super, super big phenomenon in Norway. And when we started planning the festival, we actually made a version that would be, even if things were closed down, we would still be doing the festival, because at least 12 of the concerts were streamed. So everything would be streamed, and half of the festival will be streamed anyway. Now when we are planning, we are getting tired of screens, really. It's just a big scream of, we want to see live music. We want to present live music in front of people, with people on stage and people in the audience. And actually for this edition we are doing in August, we are not planning any streaming at all. We rather just do a full festival, or we don't do it at all. That's what maybe we'll do something on radio. But it's just like, yeah, we are when this crisis is over, I'll spend a third time on the screen, and I'm looking forward to this, to have a life without a screen. So this is one version of the life after the pandemic. It's the return to live music, I guess. For the project, it's really just like the FoodPrints project. Now we're supposed to have the first gathering in Lyon in a very short time. We are setting up alternative dates and we're moving things on. And I guess this is for all projects, and this is the same with all the musicians as well. You know, you plan something and then you move it, and then you might do it and then you move it again. It's really just an endless rescheduling of the calendar. And I guess I know people think that there will be a return to maybe something more think smarter, think wiser when touring, maybe traveling even less when it comes back to some kind of new normality. But let's be honest, when things go back, everyone just want to play, perform, travel, and it's going to be a big, long extending tours for a lot of people who had projects on hold now for 1 year and might be even 1.5 before things start up again. Sorry, I don't mean to be too dystopic here, but it's just from my point of view.
And how about, Kat, you mentioned about your streamed project. So what do you think are streamed concerts and events needed in the future as well?
Yeah, I do. I think I would love to see more hybrid projects. I think there's a lot of great opportunity with digital content, and I would like to see it be used more creatively in the live performances as well, because I think that's again a great opportunity to reach more audiences, to do smart touring or whatever we call it, think sustainably. So I would like to see more hybrid versions, and I think it's here to stay. I know that we're tired of screens, but I think if we learn how to use them properly and creatively, and then there's a lot of opportunities that we couldn't do normally.
And how about Charles? You are heading a new concerts tour in April. So what other things do you need to be careful at a time when you are making concerts during pandemic time? You have to unmute yourself. You have a microphone. Yeah, thank you. It's still closed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. During the pandemic time, it's you take the space that is given to you, and I'm really trying to do this because now I'm working with an artist, Naysam Jalal, the flute player from Franco-Syrian. So it was postponed from last year already. So I don't want to postpone everything all the time, because now we are not living in a postponed life. We are living every day. So if I see a possibility to make something, I take it. And this what we did in Estonia. And now I'm really focusing on one territory, and in Finland, because now the most challenging is to go from one territory to another. So if we keep inside the same territory and avoid the places where the virus is stronger, then we can start to do more concerts. So I'm really doing this at the moment. It's supposed to start on the 15th of April. So there are quarantines and testing, and then we meet audiences, because it's very important to speak about audiences. We have maybe not mentioned audience enough. The audience is really longing for live performances. Anytime I've been doing, even for 10 people, you see the feeling is really it's very strong feeling that now the artist is in here, is not in a screen, is playing here, and this is the feedback from the audience is amazing. So this is the reason why I want to do this, because you can, if you postpone all the time, then there will be an amazing amount, as Øyvind mentioned, that everybody will take planes and at the same time. So I try to keep on alive what can be done now, to avoid the rush after all this reopening. So and anyway, my model is already adapted to this pandemic time in a way, and also shaping new models, but shaping new audiences. So maybe the hybrid model will help us to find the new audiences. It's important. But for me, when I see young people in a jazz concert, I understand. Okay, even if it's only 2 or 3, then I try to speak with them, and it's so important. So the network is really important. So I wanted to mention, very important for me, because we mentioned supporters, but for me, the AGC, Association Jazz et Croisé, is a key partner for many things. The AGC organized in 2019 this incredible Rencontre AGC, in which we all met. It was a big event. So there was the Nordic Jazz Commons, and AGC is doing an amazing work with Jazz Migration. And Jazz Migration is, for me, as being far from France, is a real opportunity to discover new talents. And so the gender question is very important in Jazz Migration. So this good networking, creative networking, is so important to make things happen.
Very good, thank you. And my last question is to Ragnar. What do you think, has our jazz audience changed during this corona pandemic time?
Oh, that was a tricky question. I don't really know. I mean, we're all longing. I just want to echo that, of course, we are so much longing to experience music live. And but I think that, yeah, I mean, we've had for many years, we have had a problem with accessibility. I mean, especially in the city regions. So I still want to say that I think we need to bring I just want to say that before I answer about the audience. But I mean, we need to. For me, it's more like, I think it's so important to talk about the audience, because everyone is saying that yes, everyone will come back. But I'm not so sure. I mean, it's really, we have to work hard, and we have to. That is why every performance is so important, and we need to take the learning that we had. We have to promote it extremely well, and we have to welcome them very well, and to give them this exclusive live. So I don't know how it has changed. We will see that. That is really that's up to the music community to show. Do we welcome our audience back in a good way? Do we manage to attract them in a good way? Because there has been so much great music made. I mean, that is something that we have to see. I've listened to so many great records that has been released and will be released over the next months.
So, Øyvind, you had a...
Yeah, if I can add something here, because of course, I'm sure that the hybrid versions will exist, and with every new kind of technology that is established more in a mainstream way, it goes into something. And remember, streaming concept is nothing new. It's been, I guess, the first streaming concerts happened around 2005 or 6 or something, and they became quite common in 2010. So this is not something that we just started doing the last year. It's been there for a long time, but it's kind of reached the mainstream, and it's something that we found as promoters and presenters, that we find is the only way we can communicate right now. But I remember I was in New York once and listening to a concert at this club called The Stone that John Zorn was running, and we were 30 people in this very tiny chairs, as you know, and John Zorn says, introducing the concerts and saying, "You are the only people in the universe listening to this music today. So enjoy it." And there's something about this exclusivity, this meeting between audience and people, that I think for me, it's super sacred, and it's something that I will always fight for more than having streaming concerts. And it's another thing that's that's important. And I'm talking also to every musician who is watching this. Remember what happened with Spotify. You just gave away everything just so you can be accessed everywhere. And be careful when it comes to this new streaming models that everyone is trying to do, hybrids. Don't give it away for free, because you'll end up on the same place as you have in Spotify, of course, everyone is using Spotify. I'm using it, but it's almost like a heartache every day that it's, why are you giving us this away for free? Really, come on. The music is worth more than this.
Yes, Kat.
Can I add something? I think you're completely right, Øyvind. But I think that a lot of festivals, venues, artists did not take that sacred thing seriously before the pandemic. So I think there was a lot of tours, a lot of festivals, a lot of opportunities to listen to music live that maybe the audience didn't really value it as much as you just said, because I love that story about sitting in that jazz club. The problem is that you could probably see this, maybe not that concert, but you could probably see it this the next week, or you could see it so often or experience it so often that it took out the sacred part. And I would love to come back to the sacred part, that it's rare and in the moment, but I'm not sure I saw that before the crisis. So I think the future could be a mix of things, and that's why I like the hybrid version, where it's you have some things that you broadcast or you use hybrid formats, and then some things that are sacred, and then create something in the moment. I think that's the future, and more quality and less quantity, and less traveling all around and playing the same gigs again and again and again.
Thank you. So we all agree that we are making the music for the audience, streamed by the streamed concerts or live. And but anyway, audience is the key point here. And now we want to give the word for the audience, please. So are there any questions from the audience?
If I can say something while we're waiting for the question, I think that no, it's not just for the audience. We are doing this for the musicians, for the music to be alive. This is it's true. It has the same value that we are presenting things because we believe in an art form and we believe in an expression. And this is as important as the audience. It's not that one is more important than the other, but they're as equal, I would say.
I also, since we're waiting, the revenues and we have to keep the exclusivity even if we do hybrid models. I totally agree. And I think it's so, it's great with all these suggested donations. And I know like Koronerulling in Norway has gained a lot of money, but it's still, we have to find ways of actually making people pay for the because I think it could add something, especially in the more sort of minor genres or.
So thinking of the audience and the musicians and the concert organizations, but probably in our all hearts, what's the key point always is the music. And that's why we all are working, and to have that music alive and the music experiences going on internationally and sharing and enjoying it together. So do we have any questions here? I don't see any here in the comments. Probably we have talked so much that all the questions have been answered. And so probably we have a tiny moment to talk about what are your dreams for the future with international cooperation. Very shortly, with 3 words. Which are your dreams for international cooperation? Charles, what would you say?
No, I would say that because you are Tampere Jazz happening and Oslo Jazz Festival are present, really please take into attention when you see an international artist that it's not a one-shot gig, that it's part of a tour, and give it the chance to perform twice. It's what I'm doing in my festival in Ragnar, for instance. This is important. This very concrete, not one-shot gig, please, not anymore.
And how about Ragnar?
I want to see more Nordic collaboration, a lot more. And we have started at the showcase festivals like Jazz Ahead and Womex, but we can do so much more. And the other thing is that we can establish long-term collaboration with the European countries first, because it's easier and it's closer. So the things we have done with London and the Vortex has been extremely rewarding, and I want to see more of that.
And Kat, what are you dreaming of with international cooperations?
I would like to see more collaboration on like a venue-based, festival-based level, because I think there's a lot of opportunities for introducing artists through the gatekeepers or the festivals and the venues, and I think it's a lot better way to collaborate. But in general, I would love to have more collaboration. I think it's the way forward, as some of the others have said as well, that on a musician level, on venue level, festival level, management level, it would be great to have more collaboration.
And how about Øyvind? What are you dreaming of?
Well, I'm dreaming and I'm trying, not just dreaming, but trying to make it from dream to reality. This, as Charles is saying, when I'm inviting people to perform at the festival, I try to mix it up so they can stay and do just not just one gig, but to pair it with something else, and so people don't just stay, come in early, leave early the day after, but spend at least 2 days, especially for international artists, and see if there's collaborations to be done. Really, I believe in this. I believe in doing residencies, and I believe in building this way of when people are invited to our festivals, they should be welcomed and not just in and out like a good old Motown machine. And also I dream of less screens.
Very good. So thank you. I want to thank you all, our dear panelists. Hope to see you live very soon. And thank you for the audience, and thank you for our organizations and organizers. So I think that it's time to change the link and join to our personal discussions with artists and the management.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Minnakaisa. And of course, thank you, Øyvind, Kat, Ragnar. And a special thanks to Charles Gilles for his active collaboration with us. And so now, for those of you who have registered for the speed meeting session, see you in a moment. And for the rest of you, thank you for joining us, and stay tuned on the CNM website and social medias for our upcoming events. Bye-bye.